There we are. That internet's always just gives me enough to sweat a little bit. Oh, hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of The Unconditioned Life, which is all about living a life free of the conditioning of your past, free of the pain of your past, overcoming whatever you need to overcome so you can live life on your terms. So, the perfect person to talk about that today is my dear friend Cristina. Cristina and I have done lives before, both with each other, back and forth. And so today it's very exciting. I'm going to let Cristina tell you about herself and what's so exciting, but she has a book that has just come out that is all around this topic. So, Cristina, I'll let you dive in.
Sure. And I just want to tell people, it's like, we did not coordinate the color matching. It's just like we're on the same wavelength because we got on. It was like, oh my gosh, it's the same color scheme. Yeah, no. So thank you, Linda, for having me here again. It's always so great to talk to you and, to pass on anything, hopefully, to your people. And yeah, I'm super excited because I've just launched my first book. And the title is Empowered, the 20% Power Principle of Discomfort. And if you indulge me in like 1 second or like maybe a couple of minutes, I'll tell you how I got to it, right? So what happened is, so my husband had kidney cancer and he went into surgery. Things didn't go well. And he was in the ICU for 11 days. And then at the end, the last day, he's the one that decided to get off the ventilator. So he decided that day was going to be the last day of his life. And I asked him, and we would communicate with him blinking eyes. So I asked him if he was scared because we both knew that he was going to die that evening. We were just waiting for our kids to make it to the hospital to say goodbye to their dad. And he said that he wasn't scared. And then I asked him if he was sad, and he said he was. And it wasn't like he was a stoic. Like, I know him. It wasn't because like, oh, I wish I would have spent less time at the office. We really lived our life. We still die by design. It was because life was going to go on and he wasn't. So he was going to miss our boys graduating from high school, hopefully weddings and grandkids or whatever it is that life has in store for us. Like, he wasn't going to be a part of it. And, I'm an empowerment coach, and for my own husband to not be able to make my husband's last day alive a happy one crushed me, even though like intellectually I get it. Like, it was just like, it was really hard for me. And I couldn't make it better for my kids. Like, I felt like there was no way of getting through this right. And one day I was like crying, and it just dawned on me. It's like, everybody has a 20%, and I just put the number 20%. It's not a scientific number, of discomfort, of discontent, of sadness, of something that's not working in your life at that level that you would want it to. And everybody has that. And it's not my responsibility to fix your 20%, and it's not yours to fix mine. It's my, it's my responsibility as a coach to show it to you, and then to show you what you can do about it. So what happens is that, let's say that your 20% of discomfort is your health, right? And let's say that I'm saying health because I know you work a lot with health. And let's say that, just to make it easy, that you wanted to lose 10 pounds. And that would be your definition of, okay, that discomfort is going to go away. When you lose the 10 pounds, it doesn't mean that you're going to be 10% uncomfortable or discomfort and 90% happy. You're still going to be 20% of discomfort, but the container grew because now you lost the 10 pounds, but now you want to run a marathon, right? Because now you can. So the goalpost always keeps moving. Your life gets bigger, but that discontent, that little thing there, is always going to be there. And what makes this a power principle is that you should welcome it. Like, make it your BFF, because A, it's not leaving, but also that's where it's telling you where you should go, right? Like, if you're discontent and it's really bothering you about your health, or something that you're triggered, like, that's the sign for you to say, this is what I have to focus on right now in my life. If my discomfort is coming from an issue I'm having with my son, it just like it's kind of like the signs, the markers that it's things like, look at me, so that you can go and tackle that. And anytime you tackle that, your life is just going to be bigger and hopefully better, right? With that discontent. And guess what? As your life gets bigger, the discontent is bigger because you're tackling bigger things. And again, that's not a bad thing. We have this concept, we look at Instagram and we think that, oh, we should be 100% happy and look this way and be this way. And it's not true. And intellectually we get that, but if in our hearts we understand that, and we're not afraid of it, we just dive into it, then you have the power to change your life. And that's what the book is about, like discovering it, figuring out what's in there, and then I give you tools to overcome that discomfort so that you can grow your container. I know that was a little long-winded. I'm getting better at describing the book.
No, it was perfect. It was interesting. I was like, oh, I love how the perspective that you put on it. And what my takeaway from what you said there was that, and this is a concept that I work on with my clients, not always the easiest, or actually one of the most difficult, and that is embracing what's so. Embracing what's so, rather than, wishing it weren't, fighting against it, resisting it, making it be the thing that makes you sad. But like when I listen to what you said, if I can see it as a place to grow my container for my life, then I can, and embracing it is the first step in doing that. Well, okay, then I'm in. I don't need to resist it. Right. But what are some of the things, or is there anything from the book that you want to share with people?
Sure. Well, first is that idea of, like, don't be afraid of it. Don't be like, well, I'll be happy when blah, 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 when my kids are older and I can do something for myself, or when I lose those 10 pounds, or when I run the marathon, like when never gets here. Right. And trust me that you're like, oh, like you'll be happy the day you die. Is like, trust me, not necessarily so. Right. Like that was the case with Joe. And it's just, be happy now. And happiness doesn't mean that everything is perfect. Happiness means that you can handle your discomfort. And then, I put in a sequence, and I think you talk about this a lot, Linda, that, we are our thoughts. And so if we, our thoughts dictate what words we use. Our words are just our thoughts expressed. Our words are stories that we tell ourselves over and over again. That becomes our belief system and what we believe. And then from that belief, we either take or don't take a certain action, because not taking an action is an action of itself. And then those actions are going to dictate the results in your life. So if you want to change what your life looks like, you have to intercede these other places that get you to that result. And so I just go through each one of those things, kind of explaining it to you and giving you tools to tackle those, that part of the process. And then by the end, you'll know what to do with your discomfort, right? Not only are you going to look at it as a positive, not a negative, but you'll also know how to keep growing your container.
Yeah, I love that. You're absolutely right. I think any coach probably in just about any area would talk about your thoughts, your words, your beliefs, because those are all the things that drive us, and those are the things that also block us. And another thing, and this is a little bit beyond what you're talking about in your book right now, but another thing that I do with my clients is look at not needing those external things to feel good, right? So we think we need the this and the that, which is why then you lose the 10 pounds and you're still not okay, or you're still like your discomfort is somewhere else. Actually finding, which is a little bit of a different conversation as I recognize, but finding the peace and the joy and whatever from inside, regardless of what we attain externally. But so, both of those. And somebody just said hello, and somebody just said hi from Alabama. So I want to take a moment Yeah, which we didn't do when we started, and say, welcome, thank you for listening. This is streaming in multiple places. So if you are listening now and you can say hello and say where you're from, Christina and I would love to know that. If you watch later, say hello. I'll always respond in the comments. And if you have a comment for Christina, I'll definitely pass it on and she will get back to you. I know that about her. So so that's good. But thank you. And yeah, please say hello. And since this is streaming in multiple places, I can't see all the comments from every place at once. I can only see, I think one place actually is what shows up. So thank you for saying hello from Alabama. And somebody else gave a thumbs up. So I just want to tell you that, Christina, because I don't think you can see that, right? Yeah.
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 Thank you. And the one thing that I think I like people to know is like life happens, like life is not rosy. Like these things happen. And so when my husband died, my 20% was consumed by my grief. Like that was first and foremost, and I couldn't see beyond that. But as my container grew, it wasn't that my husband means less to me, is just that my container grew and now I had a little bit more space for other things. And so my grief wasn't like in my face, front and center, that I couldn't breathe. So, it's sometimes, because the first thing people tell me is like, oh, but I'm like 80% miserable. And I'm like, but are you really? It's like, I don't think you are. I think that, what we tend to do, like me and my grief, right? Like, it was just like, it was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
The moments that and I know you understand this, but the moment that I zoom out and I can see everything else that's going on around me, and it's not just this, then I realized that my grief was 20% of the rest of my life. It's just that it was so overpowering at that moment that I had to handle it in order to be able to move through it. So this is not about toxic positivity. This is not about saying, oh, like, think positive and everything's going to be okay. It's like, no, like life happens and things suck and it hurts and whatever, but you can go through it. You can feel it, you can pass it, and you can grow your container, and it's always going to be there, always. But nowadays my grief is less front and center than another issue that I have in my life. But that doesn't mean that I'm not a happy person. That doesn't mean that I'm not a grateful person, that I'm not living my life on purpose, that I'm not doing the things that I love. Like right now, I was snowboarding this morning and I ran over to, hence the hat. You wouldn't see my hair. Like there's lots of joy also that happens. And if you put things where they belong, you can feel that.
Yes. Yes, it makes such good sense. And maybe a lot of people listening will know that I lost my daughter a few years ago. So you have Christina pretty suddenly losing your husband just a year ago, just the 1 year passed. And that hit you blindsided. And I lost my daughter after 15 years of preparing for it. So very different experiences, each one no less front and center for whatever time it was front and center. But I love how you put that. We focus on that, and I find in terms of grief, sometimes people think they're doing the person a disservice if they stop focusing on it or stop letting it be front and center. Like, I can't do that because then that'll mean I'm not honoring who they were for me, or I'm not honoring their struggle, or things like that. So I love how you put it. It's still there. It can still be there, and there can be joy. Mm-hmm. We can have joy even when things are really awful.
Yeah, because it is not like, in the grand scheme of things, it is not your whole life. And I know that that's a little bit of like, some people may not like to hear that or accept that, but that's my view of the world, right? Mm-hmm. And I refuse to make my 20% my 100%. I refuse to look at my life that way. And if, again, like if I zoom out, I can be like, I have my kids, my kids, I have my, my snowboarding, I have this, I have so many other things that I can put things in perspective, but not when I'm in the middle of the trigger of the emotion of the, like when that's the case, I can't see anything else. And that's okay, because that will pass, right? Like
Yes.
that will go, and then you'll be able to see it, and it's okay, right? Like it's that sense of, if you change the way that you think about things, like you give yourself an opportunity of being okay even when things are not okay. And I know that this is not and this book is not a grief book at all. It's just like, that was my experience that made it very clear to me with this whole concept. But I hated every grief book out there.
Yeah.
Like I could not resonate with any of them, because I was just like, I don't want to feel this way forever. And my not feeling this way doesn't mean that I loved my husband any less. It just means that, there's nothing I can do about it. He died, right? But my kids are still here. My life is still here. So I think it's like giving yourself permission to put your discomfort where it belongs, which is not always front and center. It's on the side. It's like a 20%.
Yeah, that is huge. That's such a great point. I for the same reason, like I didn't join support groups,
Mm.
like moms who lost their child or whatever, because it becomes the place where I think a lot of people can get stuck. I didn't want to get stuck there. It's one thing that happened to me over the course of my life. It's a big thing. It's a huge thing. It was a painful thing, but I have another child. I have my life. So I didn't want that to be. And so it's very similar. I don't think we've ever necessarily really talked about that, but we're definitely like on the same page.
Well, look at the color scheme,
Yes, apparently so. Apparently so. I wasn't snowboarding. I was out with my dogs, and I was like, oh, I should change before we go live. Yeah, nah. You told me you were going to be coming in from the mountain, so I felt free to be a little more casual. And now somebody else says, "Hi, you two from Copper Mountain, Colorado. You two are awesome." Yeah.
Nice. We're heading there in April. So for a snowboard competition for my kids.
Oh, is that our friend Sue? You know who that might be? Sue Plum.
It is Sue. Yeah, that's right. She's going to be there. Hi,
Yeah,
Sue.
I know. It says Facebook user, so I didn't realize at first.
Ah, yeah. And, I hope that my book brings hope, right? That it brings maybe a different way of looking at things, because it is what I didn't get when I was going through the worst year of my life. Like I didn't have that, like there was nothing out there that was telling me like, you're gonna be okay. It's just like put things into perspective, and I hope that this book kind of fills the gap there.
I'm sure it will. And by the way, it is Sue. She's saying yes, it's her. So we were on. Christina, where can people, and we can keep talking. It's not like I'm trying to wrap up, but I do want to make sure if people want your book, where can they get that? Do you have a link you can share with me, or you can just, I'll type it in?
So it is, shoot, hold on, let me get it. And I should have been
asked before.
I should have been more prepared. No, so what I did, and I can tell you the story. Like I started a Kickstarter for the book, and the difference between Kickstarter and a GoFundMe or something like that is that it's not a donation. It's you're just pre-purchasing something. So the book right now is on pre-sale on Kickstarter. And in addition to the book, you can get like a book and a Q&A session, a book, and then there's a class that focuses the 20% in parenting, because we need to allow our own kids to feel their 20%. And if we empower our children with this knowledge, it will change. It will change. It's like it's intersecting them before they have to go through all the crap that we had to go through and figure this out.
Right.
I have another class for money and business. So that's where you would go to get it. And I have the link, I think. Oh, here we go. I'm going to put it right here on our private chat. And I would, we are fully funded, which means that, I met my goal, which means the book will be published. I have an editor and all of that good stuff. But the more, like, I really want to get my message out. And this, if you're going to buy the book anyways, or if you're interested in it anyways, buy it now. There's a whole lot of other goodies now that won't be available once the Kickstarter is done, which will be February 4th. Then you'll be able to buy the book on Amazon and anywhere else where books are sold.
Awesome. So I just put that link in here.
Thank you.
Yeah. I can't wait to read it. I'm going to get it. But so somebody after Sue says hi, it's her. Somebody says, I hope to get where you are with grief. Thursday is the 4th anniversary of her husband's death. And at that date, as that date nears every year, it is very difficult and does consume me. The rest of the year does get better though.
Yeah. Grief is very individual, right? And everybody has their process, and it's a very tender process. So I don't think anybody's ever going to tell someone like, well, you should be over it by now. Like, no, that's I don't think that's fair or right. But I think that if you recognize, like you do, the rest of the year it does get better, it does get better. So when you're going through it, be like, what I did with my husband's anniversary, and granted it's the first one, was like, I made it a celebration of him, and I made it a positive. Like, we did things that he would like. We just did a second celebration of life and honoring him versus missing him, and of course we missed him, and there were tears and the days were difficult, but I knew that that would pass too. And it's knowing that it'll pass that allows you to be in the discomfort of the moment. And, if the date brings you that sadness with it, feel the sadness. Like, don't ever deny yourself your emotions and your feelings, but put your feelings where they belong. It's, feelings aren't facts. Feelings are just an emotion, and they will pass, and then life will continue, and you'll be able to access the brain that thinks and put things into perspective and get back again. And that's just the way it is. Like, your grief is a part of your discomfort, and that's going to be front and center around these important dates.
Yeah. I would like to share something about how we've navigated the loss of my daughter. So one thing is we put a lot of emphasis on her birthday. We still do a little birthday party. Like with my son, my husband and I are no longer together. And yet on her birthday, we get together with him and we sing happy birthday. So we really emphasize the day that she became part of our lives, not the day that she left being part of our physical lives. That's one thing that we do. And people will send me a message on the day that she passed. And I mean, do I know it's the date? I absolutely do. But I almost am sort of like, oh, thanks. Like, I am not really thinking about it. I don't, as we're coming up to it too much.
I love that.
Thanks. And then the other thing we do is we really keep her. So for me anyway, grief a lot is about the past, like relating to her, like how it used to be, missing how it used to be. So I relate to her now in the present. She's not here physically, but I talk to her a lot. I just, whatever. I wear her color, her favorite color all the time. Her favorite color is in my marketing. It's my coffee mugs. Like, I just keep her energy all around me. And we do Dia de los Muertos, my son's idea. And we just have a great time. We make sangria and we make Mexican food and we get a little buzzed and we just tell great stories and we crack up and we cry. And that's the other thing is like the crying sometimes, like instead of getting sad around her death date, sometimes I'll just be like, well, this happened. I was doing dishes and Eric Clapton was on. He's in my soundtrack. And then his song,
Tears in Heaven.
Yes, I could. I was going to start to sing it. Thank you for saving me because I was going to go, would you know my name? But you said it. So it came on and I was like, like my breath, I actually dropped to my knee and it had been a totally no significance to the date. I was just on a Saturday, sunny Saturday, doing my thing, and I cried really, really hard. And then the next song that came on was Lay Down Sally, which I love. And I went, oh, Lay Down Sally. And I started to dance. Like I just like the grief, like like a tsunami. And then
Mm.
it was through and I went back to my life. So I don't know if that's helpful to the person if you're still listening. But that's kind of the way grief has gone for me and what I've chosen to do to navigate it at different times.
And one thing also that I do talk about in the book is that we live in an either or world, right? Like you're a Democrat or a Republican, or you're this or you're that. And there's both and. So I can be both sad that my husband died and happy that I'm in a mountain where he would be if he was like where he loved. So I can feel like love for him and be like, gosh, you would have loved this and sadness that he's not here at the same time.
Yes.
And I think it's just allowing all of it to come. And then once it passes, then you can process it. But trying to process it in the middle of like falling on your knees crying, because I know what that feels like, is not possible, at least for me.
Yeah, yeah. That is a really, really great thing to remember. That's some of the work I do with my clients. We can have joy even when things are really hard. It doesn't mean we have to lose our joy in life and in being alive. We can just deal with the thing that's really hard, however we need to deal with it, and still be joyful.
Yeah.
Joyful with sadness. So, oh my goodness, I'm so glad we matched today. And I'm so glad that we have this conversation and your wisdom. I've always been in awe of your wisdom before Joe died, and then how you've navigated and shared your life since he died. And actually, as that was happening, has been so inspiring. So I just thank you for writing this book. And I know, again, it's not about grief, but it is about how you have been so powerful in your life. So thank you for that and for telling us about it.
You're welcome. And there's no powerless is like my horrible emotion, like it's my trigger. So I hope that you don't, if you do feel powerless about something, that you read the book and you can feel powerful and empowered, that you can do something about it, because you can. It's a choice. And hopefully that gives you the tools that you can do it.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you. And Sue says, so great seeing us together. Miss our times together, because Sue is another amazing, was a coach for many years and businesswoman and friend. So thanks for listening in. Okay, so I'll post this around. If anybody has any questions for you, Cristina, I'll make sure that you get them and you can answer them. And thank you so much for coming to chat with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. If you're interested in this, go to the Kickstarter, purchase the book. It just makes like my 20% of Discomfort a little better, because and look, you can get a digital copy for $10 and get all the tools too. So
that's cool.
it's not like this, like you have to pay, like there's $1,000 or there's $10. There's all kinds of stuff in there. So, but go in there, check it out. The book comes out at the end of March, and and I hope you love it as much as I've loved writing it.
Yeah, you're welcome. There's one last question here. Why did anger faces show they shouldn't have?
Maybe somebody reacted with an angry face.
I don't know. I don't know what that means. So anyway, okay, thank you for all of that. I'm going to click on that myself, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Ciao.
Bye.